Somewhere in the UK, right now, more than 8,000 people are waiting for a phone call that could save their life. Some of them have been waiting for years. Last year, 463 of them died before that call ever came. Now here's the strange part. The person trying to fix that number isn't a politician. He isn't a doctor either, not a real one anyway. He's an actor who plays one on TV. And this week, he just made an announcement that connects a hit HBO drama to a genuine national health crisis. I'm going to break down what he said, why it matters more than a normal celebrity PSA, and the numbers behind it that most entertainment channels won't bother digging into. Let's get into it. The actor is Noah Wyle. You know him as Dr. Michael Robinovich, or Robbie, the exhausted, deeply human attending physician holding together a Pittsburgh trauma center on the show The Pitt. If you haven't seen it, the short version is this. It's the most clinically accurate medical drama currently on television, and it's become one of the most awarded shows of the last 2 years. This week, right as The Pitt's second season finale landed on HBO Max in the UK, while teamed up with NHS Organ Donation for a video posted on their official Instagram. In it, he speaks directly to fans of the show, not in character, as himself, and he asks them to do one specific thing: register as an organ donor on the NHS website. That's it. That's the ask. A few minutes, one form, one decision that outlives you. Here's why this particular pairing works better than most celebrity health campaigns. The Pitt isn't set in a fantasy hospital where every patient survives and every ethical dilemma gets solved in 42 minutes. The show has built its entire reputation on refusing to look away from the ugly parts of modern healthcare. Underfunded staff, patients abandoning treatment because they can't afford it, a rape kit being processed on screen with no dramatic shortcuts, an episode dealing with immigration enforcement showing up at a hospital and the chilling effect that has on people needing care. Critics noticed. The show won the Emmy for Outstanding Drama Series and a Golden Globe for Best Television Series Drama. Wyle personally has now won an Emmy and a Golden Globe for the role, on top of 5 Emmy nominations he picked up decades earlier for playing Dr. John Carter on ER. He's not new to this genre. He's been playing television doctors, on and off, since 1994. So when a guy who has spent 30 years playing medical professionals on a show praised specifically for medical realism tells you the organ donor shortage is real, that carries a bit more weight than the average sponsored post, that let's get into the actual crisis because the article headline undersells it. As of the most recent NHS blood and transplant report, just over 8,000 people are on the active UK transplant waiting list. Nearly 7,000 of them need a kidney. Add in another roughly 4,000 people who are temporarily suspended from the list, either too sick for surgery or unavailable, and you're looking at almost 12,000 people living in limbo, unsure if the organ they need will ever arrive in time. Here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. Donor numbers aren't going up to meet that demand. They're going down. The most recent reporting year saw over 100 fewer deceased organ donors than the year before, a 2% drop in transplants overall, and a 7% drop specifically in deceased donors. That's happening despite England introducing an opt-out organ donation system back in 2020, a law where you're presumed to consent to donation unless you actively say otherwise. When that law passed, health officials expected donor numbers to climb. Instead, they've been sliding to why isn't presumed consent solving this? The answer comes down to one uncomfortable statistic. Even when someone is registered as a donor, families still get the final say at the bedside. And family consent rates have fallen from around 68% before the pandemic down to roughly 59% now. Health officials point to a simple pattern behind that drop. Families often don't know what their relative actually wanted. Surveys from NHS Blood and Transplant found that when someone was on the donor register, families supported the decision about 60% of the time. When families were simply guessing, consent rates fell hard. In hundreds of cases each year, families override a registered wish entirely, or the law's presumption of consent gets overturned at the family's request. There's also a resourcing problem sitting underneath all of this. The UK only has 5 hospitals capable of heart and lung transplants in England and a single center in Glasgow. Wales and Northern Ireland have none, meaning patients there have to travel. Reports on the system note that organs are sometimes still transported in basic ice boxes rather than the organ preservation technology used in other countries, and operations get canceled due to a lack of theater space, hospital beds, or surgical staff. The UK donates organs at a comparable rate to most of Europe. It just transplants fewer hearts and lungs once those organs are available, largely due to that infrastructure gap. Put simply, registering matters, but registering alone isn't the whole fix. The system needs both more donors and better logistics behind them. So what's the single most useful thing an average viewer can do after watching this? According to NHS Blood and Transplant's own director, Anthony Clarkson, it's not just registering online. It's telling your family out loud what you want before it ever becomes their decision to make under pressure in a hospital corridor on the worst day of their life. One donor can save up to 9 lives through organ donation alone and improve dozens more through tissue donation. A single kidney recipient can go from 3 dialysis sessions a week, every week for years, back to something resembling a normal schedule. That's not an abstract statistic. That's someone's Tuesdays and Thursdays given back to them. Registering takes about 2 minutes on the NHS organ donation website. Telling your family takes considerably less than that. Both matter. Neither one works as well without the other. As for the show driving this conversation, the Pitt isn't slowing down. Production on Season 3 is already underway, with Wyle back as Dr. Robbie, alongside the returning cast including Catherine Lanassa, Patrick Ball, Taylor Dearden, Isa Briones, Garen Howell, Shabana Aziz, Fiona Darif, Sepideh Mofi, and Sean Hitosi. Season 2 picked up a wave of Emmy submissions this year, including multiple nods for Wyle across both acting and directing, and the creative team has said they're deliberately leaving character threads unresolved specifically because they want to keep exploring them in future seasons. Which means the show, and apparently this real-world advocacy alongside it, isn't going away anytime soon. Here's the thing that stuck with me putting this together. A TV show that's fictional got more people talking about a very real, very solvable problem than most government campaigns manage in a year. That's the actual power of a well-made drama. It doesn't need to preach. It just needs to make you care enough to look something up afterward. If you're in the UK and you've never registered, the link is genuinely 2 minutes away. If you're not in the UK, most countries have an equivalent registry, and the same logic applies everywhere. Have the conversation with your family regardless of where you live. It costs nothing, and it might be the most useful 5 minutes you spend this week. If this kind of breakdown, going past the headline and into the actual data, is something you want more of, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.